The cops showed up at my front door because of a $500 fine over a mailbox, and within seconds, the whole situation spun out of control. The officer looked at my wife. His face went pale, and he actually stammered. "Commander?" The smug grin on the HOA president's face melted right then and there. And that moment told me everything. This wasn't about mailboxes. This was war. My name's Daniel Carter. I'm 38, and I teach American history at a high school not far from where we live. My wife, Emily, she's 40, and she works in law enforcement, though around the neighborhood. Most people don't know that. We moved into a suburban development called Brookfield Estates, thinking we'd found some kind of safe. Picture perfect community. Neat lawns, kids riding bikes, neighbors waving from their driveways. What we didn't know was that behind the shiny gates and manicured hedges lurked a monster, a woman named Melissa Crane. The HOA president everyone treated like some guardian angel. She organized food drives, settled disputes, checked in on the elderly, the whole act. But I'd been around teenagers for 15 years. I knew fake smiles and manipulation when I saw them. I just didn't realize how deep her game went. It all started with that letter, a crisp envelope tucked in our mailbox, formal letterhead. Photos of our mailbox from 3 different angles, citations from city codes. At first glance, it looked official, airtight. The violation? Our mailbox was 2 inches taller than regulation. 2 inches. And the fine, $500. I remember Emily looking at me over breakfast, shaking her head. "Pick your battles, Dan. This isn't worth it." Practical advice. But something in me rebelled. Maybe it was my teacher's instinct, that gut feeling when a student's excuse sounds technically right, but you just know they're hiding something. So I grabbed a tape measure and walked the street. I checked every mailbox. Out of 13, 7 were taller than ours, 3 were shorter. Not one had been cited. That wasn't oversight. That was targeting. I asked myself, why us? What had we done to catch Melissa's attention? A few days later, Marcus, the neighborhood handyman, mentioned casually that Melissa had asked him to take notes whenever he spotted possible issues while fixing fences or mowing lawns. He said it like it was no big deal. But my stomach tightened. This wasn't leadership. This was surveillance. Then came the discovery that nearly made me throw up. I dropped my keys near the front window, bent to pick them up, and my hand brushed against something hidden behind Emily's potted plants, a small metal object with a tiny lens staring back at me. My chest went cold. It was a professional-grade surveillance camera, the kind only law enforcement or licensed investigators could buy. Someone had been watching us, not our yard, not the mailbox, but inside our home. Every conversation, every private moment, our supposed safe haven violated. I sat on the porch holding that thing, shaking, until Emily came home. I showed it to her. I'll never forget the look on her face. Confusion, then recognition, then pure fury. She handled it like evidence, muttering the model number, confirming it was law enforcement grade. Then she looked at me dead in the eyes and asked, "Dan, who else around here knows what I do for a living?" That question hollowed me out. We'd kept her position quiet on purpose. Yet somehow our neighbor seemed to know too much. The very next morning, my phone buzzed with a text. "Emergency HOA meeting tonight. Community safety concerns. Signed, MC." My gut told me it was an ambush. Emily and I showed up at the community center, expecting maybe a dozen people. Instead, the place was packed. Families who'd never cared about HOA business suddenly showed up. Melissa stood front and center, clipboard in hand, her fake sweet smile plastered on. She began with her honeyed voice. Concerning reports have come in about surveillance equipment in our neighborhood. We need to discuss safety. Heads turned, murmurs spread, and then the show began. Linda, 3 houses down, stood up, voice trembling. I'm terrified. What if someone's watching our kids? People nodded like puppets. Then Marcus, the same guy who had just days earlier spoken to me in private, said loudly, some residents think they're above the rules. That threatens us all. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. It was orchestrated. Every hand raise, every nod timed to her cues. I'd seen this before. Students staging a rebellion, pretending spontaneity when it's really planned. My chest burned. I stood up, pulled the hidden camera from my pocket, and raised it high. You all want to talk about surveillance? This was found inside my house. Professional equipment, aimed right at my family. The room shifted. Some neighbors gasped. Others looked at Melissa, doubt flickering. Her smile slipped for just a second, her eyes flashing cold fury. She tried to recover, mumbling about protecting against break-ins, but I wasn't letting go. Reasonable explanation? For equipment that costs thousands, that only cops and PIs can buy? Who here thinks it's okay to secretly record their neighbors in their own home? Silence, broken only by whispers. Afterward, as people left, I caught Melissa in the parking lot on her phone. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught one sentence. How long before she figures out who I really am? My blood turned to ice. The next day, Melissa herself came pounding on our door, demanding the fine. Emily calmly said she'd researched the ordinance and would be appealing. Melissa's mask cracked just for a second. Her eyes blazed with fury before the fake smile slid back on. Then she pulled out her phone, right in front of us, and dialed 911. I need officers. Residents are becoming aggressive. I fear for the neighborhood's safety. My jaw dropped. She wasn't calling to report a crime. She was calling to frame us. Minutes later, a squad car pulled up. Officer Miller stepped out. Young, serious. Melissa pounced on him with her trembling voice. They're threatening me over legitimate HOA citations. He turned toward Emily for her side and froze. His voice cracked. Commander Carter? He actually stepped back. Melissa's clipboard slipped from her hand. She realized in an instant she'd tried to sick the cops on a police commander. Backup arrived. Another officer recognized Emily immediately. Radios buzzed with chatter. Commander Carter's involved. Melissa's entire scheme collapsed right there in our driveway. But here's the thing. She didn't retreat. No. She pivoted. She started whispering around the neighborhood. Emily was using her badge to intimidate residents, abusing authority to dodge fines. Suddenly, neighbors avoided us. Conversations cut off when we approached. Invitations dried up. It was like social death on fast forward. I won't lie. It crushed me. Emily's reputation, 15 years of integrity, was turning to ash. She came home one night, dropped her bag, and whispered, "They're watching me at work now." Another complaint, and Internal Affairs steps in. I lay awake that night, wondering if maybe I'd made everything worse. If I'd just paid the damn fine, swallowed my pride, maybe none of this would have spiraled. For a moment, I felt ready to give up, let her transfer districts, sell the house, disappear. But then I looked at that cursed camera on our coffee table, that little lens that had been staring at us in our own living room, and the fire came back. No, we weren't the villains here. I wasn't going to let a manipulative neighbor destroy my wife's career. Our marriage, our lease, We started digging. That's when Detective Walsh entered the picture. He worked in financial crimes and had been making suspiciously detailed inquiries about Emily, her hours, her routines, too detailed. So Emily set a trap. She wired me up, sent me to meet Walsh at a diner. I played the worried husband. He played the helpful colleague until he started dropping details he shouldn't know. He asked about the exact model of the camera, a fact never filed in reports. He hinted that Melissa had been feeding him intel. He even knew Emily's Thursday night schedule, something no one outside our house should know. We had him. The recording proved it. Walsh crumbled under questioning, confessing to everything. He'd been drowning in gambling debts, over 70 grand. And Melissa, real name Lisa, promised to bail him out if he spied on Emily. Except Melissa wasn't Melissa at all. Her real name was Lisa Cooper, a disgraced Chicago detective who'd vanished with hundreds of thousands from an evidence room years ago. She'd reinvented herself, hopping from community to community, posing as the perfect HOA president, siphoning millions through fake fines and community projects. The FBI stormed in. Our neighborhood, once full of bake sales and barbecues, turned into a federal command post overnight. Families gaped as agents explained that our beloved president was actually a fugitive mastermind. But Lisa wasn't done. She grabbed a neighbor as a hostage, barricaded herself in the old community hall, still trying to twist the story. "I was protecting you from corrupt cops," she ranted, trying to turn the tables even at gunpoint. But her mask finally shattered when agents threatened her finances. They told her every stolen cent would be seized. That broke her. She screamed, "That money is mine. These sheep deserve to be fleeced." For the first time, the sweet voice was gone, replaced by raw greed and contempt. That was who she really was. SWAT breached. The hostage escaped. And Lisa surrendered, still babbling about lawyers and deals. I stood outside watching her led away in cuffs. The same woman who'd once been praised as our angel of the neighborhood, now exposed, humiliated, powerless. Her trial months later revealed the full scope. 4 communities gutted. Over 2 million stolen. Countless families manipulated. She got 22 years in federal prison. Walsh got 3, plus the ruin of his career. And me? I watched her go down and felt a quiet, heavy satisfaction. No cheering, no victory parade, just the silence of knowing the predator who haunted our street was finally caged. If there's one thing this nightmare taught me, it's this. Appearances lie. Power corrupts. But truth cuts through everything. And that's the kind of story we tell here. On HOA Drama Unfolded.